Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts. Today I'm going to be creating 3 pop-up cards using our new A7 pop-up pumpkin and a few of the add-ons. I'll be using the vampire, the skull and ghost, and the jack-o'-lantern add-on today. I did split this video up into 2 parts because this ended up being 30 minutes long, so the jack-o'-lantern cards will be in part 2. So today I'm just going to be creating a skull, ghost, and vampire. I'm also going to pull in from last year's collection the mini ghost die set, and then I'm going to be using the handle from the A7 pop-up purse to turn one of my pop-ups into a trick-or-treat bucket with candy inside it. So I already die cut everything off camera and I separated everything into Ziploc bags. So I'm going to work with the first one here, which is the vampire. I cut the base pumpkin from cream shimmery cardstock and then all of the add-on pieces from red and black. Most of the elements I die cut twice from heavyweight cardstock, and I'm going to glue them back to back so that they're a little bit heavier and more sturdy. And included in this vampire add-on is a bow tie, the hair, and the cloak. So here's the cloak I'm working on now. The base I cut from black, and then there's a inner, or I guess an outer detail that I cut from red. Did double layer those with 2 heavyweight black die cuts. And on the cape there is a little tab that you can fold in so that you can glue this to the side of the pumpkin. Here I am just double layering the face for the vampire. I just added the teeth for the mouth, and then now I'm adding the tongue. I also die cut the ears that are included in this add-on set. They're pointy little ears that I think would also work well for elves. And here I am double layering the eye. I cut the base of the eye from white cardstock, then the second layer from red, and then the pupil I die cut from black. So here I zoomed in because these pieces are quite small. Whenever I'm paper piecing, I tend to work from the largest elements down to the smallest. And the pupil was so small that I put it in a separate little tray there that I just showed so that I wouldn't lose it. And instead of using the tiny pupil included in the add-on, you can also just use a black gem or a black pearl for that. There's even some detail pieces on the eye that kind of creates the bags under the eye. There's even some eyebrows that I double layered. So that is what is remaining here. I'm just going to layer those up. And this is definitely optional. My pop-ups I tend to bring with me to trade shows, so I just like to add those extra layers because my cards are handled a lot. But you can definitely just stick with 1 layer to save some time here. So this is me just layering up those eyebrows. And then we can move on to the base pieces, and the die cuts these 4 slits leading up to the center of the die cut. You can see I'm following those lines with my scissors and finishing those cut lines all the way up to the vertical score line. The reason this wasn't built into the die is just because it was too small of a space to do that with, I guess, the specs that are required for die cutting. So it would have split the die. So my manufacturers told me like this was as close as it was going to get, but if you want this die to work the best way possible, then you will have to go in with your scissors and just follow those cut lines all the way up to that vertical score line. You can see that that's going to create a little triangle in there that you can just pull off, and that will make a perfect crease and have the pop-up just overall fold better. So that's very simple, and once that is done, I can go ahead and reinforce the score lines This cardstock I'm using is heavyweight 110 pound, which is what I would suggest using if you have it. The lighter weight cardstock just isn't as sturdy. And it also doesn't perform as well with the rubber band. I found that the heavier cardstock you use for the base, the better it pops up. Or I guess springs out of the envelope. All right, so what I'm doing here is there are 4 triangles where those cut lines are that we just added all the way up to the score line. Those triangles you want to fold backwards and glue them to the back of the card. Those triangles are there if you want to attach the pop-up and make it into a treat box, which I will show as the last card in today's video. But if you want this to be a card that folds flat for mailing, you're gonna want to just fold those backwards. And I'm using a combination of glue and Scotch tape to fold those down. So I went ahead and just did the 2 on the left side, and now I'm going to do the 2 on the right. The Scotch tape kind of gives it that instant adhesion, and the glue will give it that permanent adhesion. And this is very quick and simple. I'm going to do the same thing to the other base piece. And in today's video, I'm just going to be using the main base from the A7 pop-up pumpkin, but it does include a lid if you want to make it into a gift box or into the lantern design that I showed in my product showcase video. If you haven't seen that yet, I shared over 40 cards I made, 20 of which being these pop-ups specifically, and I showed even more ideas for using the A7 pop-up pumpkin. So I encourage you guys to check that out. And in part 2, I will show you how to make those lanterns where you can add a tea light to the bottom and that light kind of flickers through the cutouts on the base. But for today, I'm just going to be using the solid base. And here I'm going to add some 1/4-inch tape on one of these base pieces all around on all of the glue tabs. But if you haven't seen the showcase video, this specific pop-up can do so many different card designs. You can make lanterns with it, home decor pieces, the character faces, which I'm doing today, the trick-or-treat gift buckets, or I guess the trick-or-treat candy buckets that I'm showing today, and so much more. So this is definitely one of my favorite pop-ups that I've ever brought out, and I will have some more ideas for it coming out soon, and there will also be Christmas add-ons. All right, so now I'm just going to attach both base pieces together. You can see that those tabs I just folded inwards and then connected each end together. And you'll notice that there is a slit on those larger glue tabs there. Those are for your rubber band. And what I should have done is added the rubber band before gluing these top and bottom tabs together. So again, I'm just adding glue to each of those 1/2-inch tabs, folding them into each other and gluing them back to back. Very, very simple. I did that for the top and bottom. And so those slits are meant for the rubber band. You'll see that I'm going to add the rubber band in after I glue this last tab in, but it's much easier if you add your rubber band before gluing these top and bottom tabs, which I'll show you in the next example. But that is basically it. That creates your face for your characters. And here is the rubber band that I'm going to be using. I sell these rubber bands in the shop. And I know, there's rubber bands you can buy everywhere, but there are certain rubber bands that work better than others. So I found the perfect one for this pop-up that I sell in my shop. And they're very inexpensive. I believe you get 15 rubber bands for just $2. And it creates the perfect spring to your card designs. All right, so now I have all of my pre-made vampire die cut elements that I'm going to add. For the cape, there is a tab that I just folded backwards, and that will allow you to glue it to the side of this face. The hair I am just adding to the top. You can add the hair to the inside of the pop-up if you want, but for me personally, I really like the hat element or the hair to be glued directly to the front of the base, like I'm doing with the cape and also the face of the vampire. I'm also going to add a little bow tie at the bottom there. At first, I didn't think I was going to use those little vampire pointy ears, but you'll see I'll add them a little bit later on after gluing the face. So I made this a traditional Dracula, but I realized as I was gluing these elements together that the shimmery cream cardstock I used looks a lot like a sparkly Edward. So you can make this into a blonde vampire and have it look like Edward from Twilight. So here are the eyeballs and the eyebrows. I'm just going to go ahead and glue those down. And because I like triple layered all of these pieces, it really stands out against the base, which I love. So for me personally, I didn't mind spending that extra time. I will say that some of these small pieces, especially the eyebrows here, were a bit fiddly to triple layer or double layer. I even added the nose, which I'm adding now. But I do really like how that turned out. So this is when I decided to add the ears. Again, these have a 1/2 inch tab that you can glue backwards so that they pop up and you can add them to the side of the base, which I am doing here. I also just glued them right to the cape. And I think that finished off the vampire really nicely. And that is my first example. I decided that the hair wasn't standing out very much from the cape, so I die cut the hair again from a lighter gray cardstock, and he's just going to be a silver fox vampire. I added that behind the black layer and it just stood out a little bit nicer. And here is how the card folds flat, and then once you release it from the envelope, it just pops right up. And I thought that that spring was so fun. You just saw there how much that popped up. It was really cute. So now we're going to move on to the skull and ghost. And this add-on includes both. So I thought I would use both to create 2 cards here. So the first one will be my skull. And I thought I would pop up some different elements inside the face. So for the first example, I glued everything to the front of the face and I didn't add anything inside it. But you can still add elements inside the head and it will still pop up. So I wanted to show that for my second design. And then my third one is going to be that treat box with the ghost. So I went ahead and pre-die cut everything for the skull and ghost. A lot of this stuff I am double or triple layering just for extra sturdiness. And that's what I'm doing here. The glasses are super cute. Those go with the ghost. And then the skull has a skeptical or a little lens that you can add, and also an adorable little top hat. And what I like about the add-ons is you can mix and match them to get different looks. So if you have the witch, you can use a witch hat on the vampire or on the bat and the cat that are a different add-on. And if you see my showcase video, I did use like the Frankenstein face for a witch, and I used the witch hat for a ghost. So each add-on has its own accessories that you can use on different add-ons. Right now I am paper piecing the mouth of the skull. I wanted the stitches of the mouth to be white, so I just kind of paper pieced that. I cut up the stitches and also the left and right part of the mouth so that only the black middle part of the smile is showing. And I like how that looks. It kind of has a Tim Burton look to it. And now I'm just double layering everything for the hat that I'm about to paper piece. And like I said, it's easier for me to go from the largest elements down to the smallest. This right here is the eyeballs for the skull. So the base will be black. There's even the bags that go under the eyes, which I die cut from gray. And then the pupil I die cut from white. Again, you can use a white pearl or a white gem if you don't want to worry about the smaller pieces. But I will say, out of all the add-ons, the easiest one, I think, in terms of the face, would be this one that I'm working with, the skull and the ghost. There's even a little upside down heart nose, which I think is really cute for this skull. And a lot of the add-ons have multiple faces included. So I know the skull had 2 other options that you could go with instead of the one I chose. So not only can you make a skull and a ghost, but you can make different types of ghosts and different types of skulls with each add-on. So here the top hat includes the stripes. So I went ahead and paper pieced a black and white top hat. The stripe going across, I went with a dark red, and then also the same red for the rose. This that I'm paper piecing is the ghost face that I'll be using as my 3rd design today. And this ghost also has pink little cheeks, which I thought were very, very cute. So I'll set those aside for my last project. All right, so I die cut from the Perfect Night die set, the adorable little spider. Here is the Perfect Night set. There's a lot of cute elements that will fill your card nicely if you want to add elements inside the head. So I'm going to be adding the spider as well as a spider web, some bats, and a little ghost that I'll use from the Perfect Night set, as well as the Scary Halloween Night set. All right, so here I have my 2 base pieces. This time I cut them from heavyweight light gray cardstock, and I'm just going in with my scissors, extending those cut lines all the way up to the vertical score line. And with that, you'll create tiny little skinny triangles that will cut from each side. You can just take those out, and then your base piece is officially ready to glue together. So I'm going to glue those triangles inside the back of the base pieces using a combination of glue and Scotch tape again. And this process is very quick when you have that Scotch tape ready to go. You won't see this when the pop-up is assembled, so that's what I enjoy using. You can also technically leave these triangles just folded over without gluing them down. In fact, that's the way my mom does it, so it's kind of up to you. If you want it to be cleaner, I guess, and like have it be seamless, you can glue it down, but you really don't have to if you don't want to. So I did that with both base pieces, and now I'm going to glue the outer tabs back to back. And here's where I decide now is a good time to add the rubber band. So I added the first one when I glued the first tab back to back. And then I'm going to glue the other tab to the opposite side of the other base piece, and then attach the second part of the rubber band to the other side, and that just kind of wiggles right into that slit. You can kind of stretch the card, fold it flat so that rubber band kind of gets used to the mechanism inside. And then you can go ahead and glue those top and bottom tabs. And those just fold right into each other, and you butt them right up against each other. I'm using a combination of double-sided tape and glue. The glue is there just to kind of wiggle around till I get it the way I want, and then that double-sided tape is a permanent adhesion, which is nice, so it's nice and quick. If you do just use liquid glue, give it a couple minutes, or not minutes, I guess a good 30 seconds for each tab to fully dry before moving on to the next. Here's my top hat. I'm going to glue that to the front of the skull's face, right at the top there. Again, you can add the top hat to the center with a bridge that I'm about to show you. But instead, I thought it would be fun to add the ghost and the spider web inside the head instead. The skull has the 2 eyeballs that I just added there, but before I add the smaller eye, I want to add the spectacle, and I'm just adding that smaller eye right inside. I'm going to have that spectacle kind of coming out of the top hat. I thought that was really cute. Then I'll go ahead and glue my eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And doesn't that just look really cute? I love how that turned out. And as I mentioned, this A7 pop-up pumpkin die set includes several add-ons to create tons of different Halloween characters. I have a Frankenstein, a jack-o'-lantern, a bride of Frankenstein, and some different witch designs. And there will also be several Christmas add-ons coming out. So this is definitely a very versatile set. And in part 2, you'll also see how you can make these into home decor pieces. All right, so included in the pumpkin die set is bridges. So I die cut 2 bridges from the same heavyweight gray cardstock. I'm adding double-sided tape to each of the tabs, removing the backer tape, and in the center of the bridges is a score line. So when you fold everything, it kind of looks like a triangle that you can add to the left and right side of your pop-up. Very easy here. And your card will still fold flat with these bridges added inside, but this gives you an option to add elements inside the pop-up if you want. So this spider web is from the Halloween Night die set. I die cut it from black cardstock and it wasn't really standing out, so I decided to glue it onto the same light gray base cardstock that I used and just cut around it. And so the pop-up itself will make a beautiful pumpkin, and if you'd like to see that, definitely check out my product showcase video that I will have linked down below. And then the add-ons are just extra pieces you can add to it to make the character faces. But if you are more of a fall person and not Halloween, the die itself makes a gorgeous pop-up pumpkin, and it has lace cutouts on it that you can add to the pumpkin, and it creates a very elegant and beautiful fall card design. This little ghost is from the Perfect Night die set. So I'm also going to add the ghost on the right side of the hat. And then I'll also pull in that spider that we worked on with the Google eyes. I'm going to add the spider to the web. And then I needed a couple more elements, so I die cut the bat silhouettes, again from the Perfect Night, from the maroon cardstock that I used for the hat of the skull. And then this ghost is from the mini ghost die set from last year. So I am adding black behind its face so that it stands out. I did the same thing with that larger ghost. And then I have one more maroon bat that I will add. And these sticks that I am using, I showed during the clip there, they are 12 by 12 clear sheets that I die cut, or not die cut, I cut with my trimmer into strips so that they can hold up those little pieces inside. So that finishes off my second project. And now we're going to actually close the base and make it into a trick-or-treat candy bucket. So instead of gluing those triangles down on the back side, I'm going to add double-sided adhesive to the triangles and just connect it to the tabs that are above it. So I'm going to do that to both base pieces. And then I will just attach them together the exact same way. I have double-sided tape already added just to save time in this video. I'll remove the backer tape and then attach each tab together, just folding them inwards. And with this treat box, you won't need the rubber band because it's fully closed. It won't fold flat at this point. So I'm going to skip the rubber band, just close everything shut. And again, also tape down the top and bottom tabs back to back. And we're also going to close the bottom of this so that the candy doesn't fall out of the bucket. So that is another die included in the pumpkin die set. So I like that it gives you the option to create these little gift boxes as well as create pop-up cards that work with the rubber band. And then also there is a lid if you want it to look more like a gift box, which again I will show in part 2 of this video. All right, so the base is complete. These are very fast to put together. Once you create one, you can make these very quickly. I plan on mass producing this design that I'm about to show you for trick-or-treaters, but I will swap out the faces. So for here, I'm doing a ghost, but I think it'd be fun to do the Frankenstein, the little cat and the bat, the witches. I love that each trick-or-treater would get a different candy bucket. And you'd be surprised how much candy you can fit inside this little pop-up. I was able to fit 5 fun-sized Halloween candies inside. All right, so I'm adding the eyeballs for the ghost, and I'm spacing them apart using the glasses as a reference. I want to make sure that those are going to be in each lens. So once those are glued, I can go ahead and add the glasses, and I thought that was just so darling. The bow I'm going to add to the top left. And then all I have to do is add the smile and the cheeks. So this is definitely much more simple than the first 2. But I'm going to add some different elements from that Perfect Night die set. And make this really, really cute. So this handle is from the A7 pop-up purse. I cut off the rings because I didn't need those. I really just need to tuck this inside the treat bucket. And those tabs that we glued inwards inside the bucket, I'm using those to glue my handle in. I have my bat, silhouette, some of those mini ghosts, and then I felt like it was just missing some color. It needed something else. So again, I pulled that Perfect Night die set, and from it I cut the candy corn, another spider, and some more bats, I think. The candy corn includes the layering pieces, so I cut the base from white and then the other layering pieces from yellow and orange. I'll glue one candy corn to the bottom and one to the handle of the bucket. I have my spider again with Google eyes. I just think that's so cute. My bats. The die even includes some stars that die cut. So they look like confetti stars. I'm going to add those to the top and bottom of the bucket as well, just to add some additional color. So this little ghost is from the mini ghost die set. Added him right next to the candy corn. I'll add some more bats, as well as those little stars. So this bat I added to a clear stick, trimmed off the excess and glued it behind the handle so that it looked like it was flying away from it. And then this is where I'm going to add those stars. I die cut the stars from yellow, orange, and black cardstock. And I think that finished off the card very nicely. You can also use gems or sequins if you want. And now I'm just going to add my candy inside. Oh, just kidding. First, we have to close the bottom of it. So I have my bottom piece that I die cut from heavyweight white cardstock. I'm adding my double-sided tape to each of those tabs. You can see that I folded them all upwards, and each of those tabs connect to each side of the treat box. So I'm just one at a time going to add a combination of the double-sided tape and glue, and just using my fingers inside the pop-up, I will tape each side down. This would have been easier if I did not add the purse handle. I should have waited on that until after I finished this part, but it ended up being okay. I just one at a time went and added each tab to the bottom on each side of the treat box here. And that's it. Very simple. And I love that you can make these. These are just so fun. They don't take very long to make, so I plan on mass producing them, like I said. So there I added all my candy. That's a good 5 pieces of candy. It's like M&M's, Skittles, Starburst. So yeah, that finishes off my 3 projects today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I will have all the products I used listed down below. And today's actually the last day to get the 10% off bundle for the A7 pop-up pumpkin. So if you love these, definitely check that out. Tomorrow, they will only be 5% off. All right, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.